Okay, hello. Before we continue to the next video, I think we should do a short video so that I can show you more on how can we have our endpoint or our API receive the request and how can we receive data from that request. So you need to be able to send data to the API. For example, if you want to log in, you need to be able to send username and password. So in this case, we need to be able to send the name to the endpoint or the task data to the endpoint to be updated. Okay. So to do a quick test on that, let's create another endpoint so that we can play around with and discard it later. Okay, so I'm going to create a new folder under API called test. Okay. Hopefully that is under API, not under Redis data. I'm actually not trust that. So let's click on that. I'm not sure why it did this to me. Okay, now it's good. So again, we're going to do router ts just like up here. Okay. I'm just going to copy this over here. Because we're going to need next request and next response anyway. And now that I have to far that I need the get Redis client, might be a good time to do the responsible thing and just create another file right here. And I'm just going to move this part. Actually, sorry. I need all these. Okay. Let's move it over here. And just to make the function get Redis client available outside of the file, let's export it just like what we did with our component. Okay, that pretty much it. Now we have to put a thing back in here. Okay, it's smart. It's remember it's actually already know where my function is. Just to test that things still work properly. Okay, I'm going to go back to Postman that I show you in the previous video and just reuse some of the get request so that I don't have to type in this field again and press send. Okay, things still work as it should. So now let's play with this. So there's two way to send the data to your API. Okay, actually we have to do this first. There's common method that we use to communicate or make requests with our API. One is called get. This is what you see right here, and the other method is called post. Okay, these are two common HTTP method. Um, so in order to take that, usually get is used for taking the data from the API. So basically, most of the time you will simply call the API. The API will do something behind the scene, just like what we did with this get here, connect to Redis, retrieve the data, and then send it back. Okay. So the data that it need most of the time is not very complicated. For example, here if I want to create a get function, so I'm actually reusing this. I'm actually should take everything. Okay, so for this get function on this test, what if I was want to say that, hey, just give me the key name. So for example, here on my Redis, there's an easy thing that I can send back. So there's T user, there's task user key here. So whatever the key that I receive from my endpoint, I will send back the value. How about that? Or it can be JSON. Well, we can pass it. Okay. So basically, I'm going to be able to take the key, and then I'm going to send back whatever data I retrieve from Redis with that key. So how do you usually do that? Okay. So now you have to be able to pass the data to this particular endpoint. For get request, we're going to use what we call search parameter. The search parameter, basically you just follow your endpoint name with question marks. Okay. And then you have to give it a name. What is your search parameter name? So I would say key equal T user, something like that. Okay. That would be so you would notice that all of the data in that you can pass through the get method actually going to be visible right on the browsers or API or whatever in the text format. So it's not very safe. And people will be able to know for sure like how you communicate with the API. So usually, and also there's a limit on the data that you can send. So normally, if you have to pass, if you pass just a few amount of data, usually get request is fine if it's not not sensitive information, if it's short, if it's text based, not very long, get work fine. But if you're going to work with more complicated data, um if it's going to be sensitive, usually we're going to use another method that is called post. Um, so when you do post, you can pass the data in the body of the request instead. So it won't show up in the bar, in the address bar here. Okay. We will try both method. So let's try with the get first. Okay. Um, so here I have the search parameter called key. Okay. So but here if I send it, nothing happened because our endpoint doesn't read it yet. So to make this um endpoint, so this, oh, and I have to change this to test, or I'm going to have keeping calling the wrong endpoints. Okay. So that might be, yep, test. Actually should work the same way. Do I save yet? Probably not. Okay, there it is. I forget to save. Okay, so it doesn't use whatever how to say, it doesn't read the data yet. Okay, um for example here, if I do task user here, it still say the same thing, although I'm reading another key now. So to know the information that the user going to pass to this API, usually you would just put it in the document. What is the data? What is the search parameter name that this endpoint take? If you still remember when we use the Pokemon API, remember that it tell you what is the name of the parameter that you can pass to it. So the same thing. So it has to be something that we know. And we're going to use this function called nexturl.searchparams.get. So that a function from next request here that we never use it yet. So we're going to put a parameter in our function now, so that now get function will be able to take a next request object that we can read from it. Okay, so let's say that let's say key value equal request, which is our next request parameter here, dot next URL dot search params. So this is going to contain all the parameter that the user passed to us, and we only read the one that we're interested in. So I'm interested in the one called key. Okay, and I will do this if this is not exists, if I cannot read this, return next response dot JSON. So if we cannot read the value, we should tell the user of our endpoint somehow that the error occurred. Okay, and I'm going to give it a status 400 status, which is the error status. Okay, I think I already showed you HTTP status in the class. Okay, so if this work, I'm going to get user of the key value instead. Okay, and I'm using the same variable name because this is the test, so let's keep it that way. Okay, so here let's see what are the available key that we can pull from our Redis. Okay, task user definitely one. See, so now if we pass in this key for task user, we get Jenny. This is what thing passed to us. If we do DDD, which is actually a JSON, we don't get it because for JSON, to retrieve the data, we need another method. So I get actually 500 internal server error instead. So this is generic error message. To get the one that doesn't exist, let me try XXX. Okay, so this here we got this error. It say, oh, sorry, the error that I'm testing is that we don't have the key, not the key error. So here it actually returned 200 status, which is okay. Because we're trying to retrieve the thing from Redis, and it actually returned now to us because the key doesn't exist. Okay, so for the error that we check here, so we're expecting that people will send parameter key to us, and it doesn't. If they doesn't, okay, so we get bad request, and the key parameter is required. Okay, if we go back to proper key, so I need something that's not JSON. So T user, the one that we use so far. Okay, then we get my name. Okay, so this is how you read the parameter from the address bar. So basically get request, Okay, so HTTP GET, you can pass the data through the search parameter. If we have more data, we will just concatenate it. Okay, so it would be something like this. Get parameter in URL. I just need example. So here you just you just and continue on. Okay, so let's try it a little bit, maybe. So something like n ex sample ple equal test. Okay, so I'm not sure how I'm going to pass this in. So I'm going to do again. Okay, so hopefully have two of these. So I will do task user. Let me see, JSON task user and x value. So hopefully, so this will what coming out. So this is what we read from here. So test. So if you have more than one variable that or one value that you want to pass through the get method, you just keep concatenating them with the end and just putting it on. Okay. So next, let's try the post function. So for the post function, it will be similar to get. So basically, we're going to create another method, and instead of name get this time, it will name post. Easy, right? And we're going to read next request as well. And whether it get or post that is called, this will be depending on HTTP method that you send to the API. So here, if I do get, it will get. I have to say post. If I say I need a post method, this function will be executed instead of this one. If you just put the data in the URL, just like what we did right here. This is always get. This will always go to get method on the endpoint. So always go to this function. So that's why I told you that it might be a good idea for you guys to install something like Postman, just so that you can test your API because you can choose the HTTP method that you can test. Okay. When you do post, the way that we text the data, you can also check on the search parameters, and you can also pass the data. When you send the data, you're actually going to pass it through the body. Okay. I'm actually gonna have to continue this on the next video. I just noticed that the video getting long and is going to take too much time to process. Okay. We will continue on to the post in the next video. Okay, see you.